Hello guys, welcome back to Kossi's Arsenal podcast. My name is Kossi. I'm smiling. There is nothing I can do. Arsenal 0, Everton 1. That was the final score at the Emirates Stadium. Now we have collected 6 losses in one season at the Emirates Stadium in the Premier League, and 9 losses in all competition at the Emirates Stadium. And Mikel ARTETA, I don't have words. I just don't have words for this lad. ARTETA out. That's the only word I can say. That's the only word. We're gonna speak about so many things about in this game, a couple of them, but my focus is gonna be ARTETA and these Arsenal players. They're just not good enough. They don't have the spirit. They don't have the character. They're not fit to play for a big club. Before we talk about Vinay, Kurenke, what these players do not have the character, the zeal, the feeling of playing for a big club. Let's get the party started. Let's start off with Mikel ARTETA. ARTETA, of course, the lineup he went with. You might not disagree because we have an injury crisis at the club, so he had to play whoever was available, and I totally agree. But he leaves Martinelli on the bench for another game. I don't know, why don't you pick your best players? Why doesn't he pick his best players? Why does he pick the worst players over the best players? I don't know what's wrong with him as Mikel. I just don't get it. He either picks Nketiah over Martinelli to start. He picks Rob Holding over William Saliba. I don't know what's wrong. I don't know what's so wrong with him. I just don't understand what is so wrong with Mikel ARTETA. And he has done that ever since the beginning of the season. He has always left out the major players and played players that are not even significant. I just don't see what Nketiah was doing in that game when Gabriel Martinelli was on the pitch. Nketiah doesn't have pace, Nketiah doesn't have intelligence, Nketiah doesn't have power. So he was totally irrelevant in such a game. You have Gabriel Martinelli, who doesn't have power and energy, but he has the pace, he has the aggression, he has the intelligence. He could play against Everton. Then you leave him on the bench. Doesn't make sense. It really doesn't make sense. So that was mistake number 1 from Mikel ARTETA. And look at the time he makes the substitutes. It's like he clearly never had any tension in this game. And of course, nobody says, in my match preview, he said, we're not coming into this game with a lot of pressure to win it. We're coming into the game with the mentality that it can help us keep in shape, get the confidence to play against Villarreal. That's all we wanted. We never asked for a loss, because you never want a loss. When you're going to play against Villarreal in the semi-finals. You don't want a loss at home. You want 3 points, or at least a point against Everton. So Mikel, that was he was so wrong. And the other mistake he made is leaving William Saliba to go in January, trusting Rob Holding. Look at the shit in which we are in. Look at the shit in which we are in. Rob Holding is just doing the crazy rounds, and I just don't understand that guy. I just don't understand him. And these have all been Mikel ARTETA's mistakes, and it comes from the fact that you have a manager who is inexperienced. You have a manager who doesn't actually do it. You have a manager who has not earned it. You have a manager who got the job because he's cheap. You have a manager who got there when he never thought that he would at one point in time he would get that job. Mikel ARTETA is not yet the caliber of a manager to manage Arsenal. That is done and dusted. It is done and dusted. We are not saying it again. He has not reached the levels of managing Arsenal. He's not there. Please and please, some things should be very clear. Some things should be very easy. Kroenke, I know you don't love this club. Vinay, I know you're clueless about football, but the things that are easy to see. This, from the hands of Arsene Wenger to the hands of Mikel ARTETA, who has not managed football anywhere, it doesn't make sense. You can see the ridiculous, moves, the ridiculous tactics he's using. I don't know if we even have tactics. I just don't know. Mikel was very poor, and I disagree with anyone who's going to defend Mikel ARTETA. Very, very poor. I'll meet them in the player ratings because I'm gonna just, massacre them. But let's talk about these players as well. Let's talk about the players. Are these players good enough, guys? Are these players fit to play for a brand and a team with a lot of heritage like Arsenal? Pan Leno, what was that? What was that? Not the first time in the season not the second time, not the third time. A couple of times now, Leno is losing games for Arsenal. He's making us lose games against Liverpool. Diogo Jota gets in this, header, and Leno patches it inside. I'm like, okay, fine. Things happen. In the midweek, in the same game, in the same week, I think it was Slavia Prague. Again, Leno with the same mistake, and then I was like, okay, what's wrong with this guy? So I don't know. Some of these players are just not good enough. Some of these players are in the wrong place, and it goes back to poor recruitment. I looked at Arsenal. We don't have shape. We're not going forward. We are not defending well. We don't have possession. It's like, it's like we were playing Everton, and Everton had it all. It's like Everton were the giants. At times it doesn't make sense. At times you've got to stand strong. You've got to be there. You've got to stand strong as a club. And when Arsenal stood strong this season, I don't know. I just don't get it. That was a very poor performance, guys, and it reflects so poorly on us when we are going to play Villarreal. Because this is a lot of ruckus. We've been in this, European Super League scandals here and there, and now injuries, and now you have Europa League, and now you're losing names. It doesn't make sense. I don't want people to use the excuse of the European Super League that Arsenal players and the manager have been affected by the European Super League. That football there was just typical of our season. If we have been playing well and we lost to Everton over, out of the blue, if we have been winning 5 games in a row and then we lose to Everton, it would make some sense. But Arsenal is losing games at home like nothing, dropping points at home like nothing. So I don't want anyone to defend Arsenal or the manager or the players, saying ESL disorganize them, blah 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 blah. It won't make any sense for me. It won't make any sense for me. These players are just not good enough, and that's it. They're just not good enough. They need to change. We need to change them. That is it. That is it. I don't know. It's gonna take around 5-6 summers to clear out the deadwood, because at that football club, 90% of the players are deadwood. 90%. You can ask for. You can. And you know what's funny is, some of you look at Thomas Partey. He's a very good player, I know, but even when he's playing poorly, some of you tell me, Kosi, Partey was the only good player, in that game. No, he wasn't good. He wasn't good. How many times did he give the ball away trying to pass it? He wasn't good enough. Ceballos wasn't good enough. We have players on loan. I'm just disgusted. Just disgusted. This football club is just disgusting.